trading card game for over 10 years now. Now, while it is a completely separate game from Pokemon Pocket, there are some things I've learned while playing the regular TCG that have made me a better player in Pocket. And if you're a newer player, these are some tips that you're gonna want to hear. Now, these are all very small things that if you can apply them to each and every game you play, your win percentage is gonna go up drastically. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over some gameplay footage. I'm going to show you some of these tricks that I've learned, just little tiny things that help me get the edge over my opponent, and hopefully you'll be a much better player after this video. So let's get into it. Let me educate you. Maybe you shouldn't take any of my advice. Okay, now this is something that you might have never thought about. Maybe you just have one that you like to play over the other, but what we're going to be talking about here is what you should do on the very first turn of the game. So take a look at my hand. I'm holding Pokeball, X Speed, Research, and Farfetch'd. Now this is something that comes up all the time. You start your hand and you've got a Pokeball and you've got a Research. Which one do you play first? Take a look at this hand, right? I'm playing an evolving deck right now, and if you look, I am out of evolution Pokemon. I do not have a way to get into a Rapidash turn 2. So what I'm really looking for are my evolution Pokemon. If I use this Research and I draw, this deck also plays Farfetch and Vulpix. If I use my Research and I draw Vulpix, okay, well now this Pokeball is dead and I'm nowhere closer to getting ahead and winning this game. So what you should do in this case is play that Pokeball first, get a basic out of your deck, and then Research, hoping that maybe you run into another Research, maybe you run into some evolutions, and you can actually start playing the game. Because as of right now, I am not in a good spot with this hand. Now, on the inverse, if your hand is Pokeball, Research, and a couple evolutions, well, all you're really looking for are some basics, right? You've already got your evolutions for the next couple turns. You're looking good. You should definitely use that Research first and try to get the basics that you need. Try to get an additional basic is what I'm saying. Maybe off the Research, you could get one other basic, and then you can get one off your Pokeball, and you're looking good. It's all about what does your starting hand look at. That's going to tell you which of those cards you should play. You should not just always play Research first. Do not always play Pokeball first. Take a look at the hand, stop and think for a second, and then make your choice. This next tip is super, super important, okay? A lot of games come down to your opponent Sabrina-ing and taking a prize card off of that Sabrina. So take a look at this, all right? I'm playing this turn out, and he's going to Sabrina up my Ponyta and hit it for 50. Now my field is a Ponyta with 10 damage left and a Rapidash with 100 damage. You look over here, he doesn't have any Curlia in play. He has no way to deal more than 50 damage next turn. So what I'm going to do is, even though I don't really want this Farfetch on the bench, I don't have a reason to put it down. I'm going to bench this Farfetch'd, so that way, if I get hit with a Sabrina again next turn, I have something to promote that's going to effectively make his turn wasted, right? Because he's just going to do 50 again to a Farfetch, and that doesn't concern me. I bought myself another free turn off of that. So this is something that you need to really watch out for. You're going to lose a lot of games by Sabrina. You're also going to win a lot of games by using Sabrina. And what happens a lot of the time is that your opponent or you do not effectively build your bench up in order to Sabrina proof it. Okay, that can be you're in the late game and maybe you're playing against Pikachu and the Pikachu's only ever going to deal 90 damage with a Sabrina, okay? You need to take a look at that and find a way to counter that. So, like, look at here, right? I play Rapidash with 100 HP. If I was playing against Pikachu and I know the only way I'm going to lose is if he hits something for 90 damage, I need to, at some point, build up another Rapidash, something with 100 HP, in order to prevent that Sabrina from giving him the game. You always want your bench built up with stuff that can just sort of soak a hit if you need to send something up. Also, another thing to watch out for is do not overbench. If you're playing a big stage 2 EX deck, you will lose a lot of games by overbenching, because what the big stage 2 decks want to do is just throw something up there that's so much HP and deals so much damage that they cannot get through it in one attack. Well, if you bench, say, a Ponyta with 60 HP and you're going against a Mewtwo with 4 energy, you know, they're going to Sabrina and they're going to knock out that Ponyta, might give them the game. So just be careful with your bench, manage it, take a look at what your opponent has lines for in order to give them the game and play around it. You're going to lose a lot of games by Sabrina. You're going to win a lot of games by Sabrina. Okay, so we're still going to be talking about Sabrina in this next one. I don't really have any gameplay to show this. This is just a pretty simple trick that you should be doing every single time. If you know that you are going to Sabrina on that turn, and let's say you're playing an evolution deck or something, play the Sabrina first, okay? What that's going to do is it's going to make your opponent stop and think. There might be a Pokemon that you definitely want to hit on the bench and a Pokemon that you don't want to hit on the bench. Now, let's say you go through all of your turn, you evolve your Pokemon, you attach your energy, and then you play Sabrina. Well, the opponent's going to look and they're going to say, well, I think he wants to hit into this guy. I'm just going to give him the Pokemon that he doesn't want to hit into. There we go. It's easy. If you don't evolve, don't attach energy, just play that Sabrina, there are going to be periods of time where the opponent has to stop and think. And what you're essentially going to force them to do is, hey, call my bluff or just completely misplay, and I'm going to come out ahead because of it. So if you're going to play Sabrina, do it first, then do everything else on the turn. Sow a little doubt, make your opponent second guess what they're doing. You might make a misplay, and it might give you the game. Okay, this one is super important to do. Now, what you're going to see here, this really pertains to decks that have either 2 stage 1s in it or just multiple attackers in general. Take a look at my board right now. All right, I have 2 Farfetch and 2 Vulpix, but let's say for a second that this Vulpix was, I don't know, a Primate, a Fire-type Primate. Okay, they're 2 different attackers. They do 2 different things. Should I go all in on my Vulpix, or should I attach to my Fire-type Mankey here in order to get it 1 energy away from attacking as well? Attach to the Fire-type Mankey, okay? You want to be spreading out your energy so that when it comes back to be your turn, you have every option available to you. You never want to just go all in, because you never know what's going to happen on your opponent's turn. You might switch up your play. You might want to do something else. Just do not go all in on one Pokemon if you don't have to. If you're not playing a deck that just says, I'm just attacking with this Pokemon, spread out your energy. Make sure you have all options available, because again, you never know what they're going to do on their turn. They could just do something that makes you no longer want to do what you were going to do on your turn, and you want to attack with the other attacker. So spread out your energy, something very simple to do, but again, it's something that's going to help you come out ahead over a long period of time as you play more and more Pokemon Pocket. Now, this section is what I'm going to call the red card section of the game. Red card is a super, super good card in this game, and it will be the difference maker in a lot of the games you play. So, number one, what I want to start off with is it's the first turn of the game, right? We're just going to start from there. If you're going second, when you're setting up, play down every single basic in your hand most of the time. If you somehow know that in this matchup, I definitely don't want to bench this Pokemon, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Bench every single Pokemon you have. Do not just bench the first one and then sit there and wait, because if you only bench the one Pokemon in the active spot and you were holding another Pokemon and they go turn 1 red card, well, there goes that Pokemon and you're only getting 3 cards off it. It's just not good. So if you're going second, bench every single Pokemon you have to red card proof yourself just a little bit. Okay, next up here, we're going to still be talking about it's your first turn of the game. Let's say you have 4 cards in your hand and one of them is a Professor's Research, but you're taking a look and you're saying, you know what? I really don't need any other cards on this turn. Next turn, I don't want a Sabrina. I don't want a Giovanni. I don't really want to do anything except hold this hand. Okay, well, the number one thing you should not do is play that Professor's Research. You might get a couple extra cards that you don't need, and your hand is going to look a lot more inviting to red card. If you don't play that research and give yourself +1 cards, your opponent might take a look at their hand and say, well, they didn't really do much. I mean, it's possible that they just have a dead hand. Let's just, let them keep it for now, and maybe we'll save this red card on for later in the game. It's something that's very important to do, and now what we're going to talk about is on the inverse side. You might start with a hand that is absolutely abysmal, but you don't want your opponent to know that, all right? This is all about playing mind games with the red card, okay? Red card is really just a mind game card. If you have a dead hand, it might be in your benefit to hold as many cards in that hand, make it as appetizing for your opponent to red card. You might have a completely dead hand and you just want to play a research on turn 1 just so it looks better for them to red card. It's something that is very important. You always need to be considering, does my opponent have red card? Are they going to play it? Do I want them to play it? Do I not want them to play it? And how can I make them do what I want them to? Next up on the red card section, when you are in the late game. Now, let's say you're playing a game. This happens all the time. You're playing in the late game, and you know that all you need to win is a Sabrina. You're gearing up for a Sabrina play or a Giovanni play, whatever. Either way, you need one card in order to win. Now, let's say the game's been going pretty good for you. You've got some X speeds, you've got some Pokeballs, you've just got some, you know, essentially dead cards that you really don't need to see in order to win the game. You need to just be playing those cards, okay? Don't hold on to the X speed for maybe some freak situation comes up. Just play those cards, because if you make it to the end of the game and your opponent says, all right, well, I really have no way of winning this except I play a red card and they don't draw exactly what they need. Well, if you didn't play any of those dead cards, there's a chance that you didn't play your X speeds and your Pokeballs, and you draw your 3 off of the red card, and you're looking at 2 X speeds and a Pokeball, and you know, those could have been, any of those could have been a Sabrina. So as you're playing through the game, if you know you're not going to need those cards anymore, just play them, get them out of the deck, avoid getting punished by the late game red card. Guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something. Take these tricks I've taught you, go play your games, and hopefully you end up winning some more. If you want to sub to the channel, all of my gameplay videos, I thoroughly explain every single play, what I'm thinking. So just by watching it, hopefully I can teach you how to play these decks, how to play certain matchups. But that's going to be it. Again, if you guys could like, sub to the channel, I would really appreciate it. And go win some more games.